Oh my gosh, dude. I can't believe how much I spent. In my previous video, I break down how much money I earned from my YouTube channel. So in today's video, I'm gonna tell you exactly how I spent it. All while using the highly sophisticated graphing metric, the pizza pie chart. Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. So today's video is going to be a good one, and hopefully very informative. Not just for you guys, but also for me. Since I do want to make this video to help you guys get a better understanding of the cost of living here in New York City, and also as someone who's self-employed and runs their own YouTube channel. So I go over both the cost of living and also the business expenses that I have to put into operating this channel. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to this one to go through and see exactly how much I am spending every single month. Hopefully it's not on too many stupid things. Now the first thing that we're going to talk about is rent, since New York City is known to being one of the most expensive cities in the world to rent an apartment. Since the cost to value of an apartment here in New York is just absolutely ridiculous. You really get no space here. But what you are paying for is the location. Since when you are paying to live in New York City, you're paying mainly to live next to some of the best restaurants and also access to all of the opportunities that this city has to offer. Plus, this is just where I was raised and where my family lives, so it's just home to me. And if you guys have seen any of my previous videos, you know that you can do New York City relatively cheap. For instance, I still choose to save on rent and have roommates. Especially at this time in my life, I still do prefer to live with friends. It makes it more fun, and also you can save a lot on rent. And my apartment is a great setup where we're right in the heart of the city and also have a duplex apartment with a private backyard. And when we split it up between roommates, I'm only paying $1,200 per month. Which, if you're not familiar with the New York City real estate market, that is a steal. Now, the space is still coming together, but this is the studio. And now with having it for almost 2 months now, I have noticed it being very beneficial. Not just for my business, but also for my happiness. Since it was very inefficient trying to turn my bedroom every day that I was filming into a studio, to have the good backdrops and the lighting and make sure my bedroom was clean, it would just go terribly wrong sometimes. But to have this place where I have all my set backdrops and I'm just ready to go at all times. And on top of all of that, just having a place where I get to go to and it's just designated for work, and then having my apartment, which is designated for having fun and living. And the office is a business expense as well, so far within the first 2 months, it has been totally worth it. So in total, between all of my rent, it comes out to about $3,000, making up one slice of pizza. Now my next major expense is travel. One of the main reasons why I got that apartment, which is still a nice apartment, but nothing too fancy, is because at the time I was gone for almost half of the year. So with not being there so much, I didn't want to get a place that was too expensive and too nice that I felt like I was paying too much and just losing so much money. I wanted a place that didn't break the bank and I would still be able to travel. Obviously this year's a little different, and traveling is just such a huge part of the channel, which makes it a business expense and just something that I absolutely love. So on average, I spend about $1,500 a month on travel, making up half a slice of pizza. Now let's talk about the NYC living expenses. So when I first graduated college and was on my own for the first time in the city, I set a world record for spending the least amount of money living in New York City. Not actually, but if you work for Guinness, give me a call because I'm sure I did. But from knowing which grocery stores to eat at to eating dollar dumplings and dollar pizza every day, there's a way to do NYC affordably. Especially if you're young and getting started. But once you start figuring life out and want to start taking advantage more of what New York City has to offer, it gets a bit more pricey. So for food alone, I spent about $750 per month, which I think is pretty good, since the only meal I typically cook is breakfast, and then lunch and dinner, I hate to say it, but I eat out every single day. Not just because I'm a pretty terrible chef, but also I like to save time. I don't want to necessarily waste the time to go to the grocery store or have to leave the studio to go back home and cook. I'd rather just take 10 minutes, go to Chipotle, save all that time, and have someone else cook for me. So yeah, $750 a month spent on food. Then I do spend $230 for an Equinox membership, which is kinda a ripoff, but it is really nice. Then for transportation, I do usually walk or boosted board everywhere that I need to go. But now with it being winter and so terribly cold some days, I do take Ubers. I try my best not to and would rather save, but I spend on average, or what did I spend last month? Last month I spent $75 on Ubers. I feel like most of that was like going to the airport though. On NYC expenses, I spent about $1,025. Now next I want to talk about the spending on my team, since it's not just me that helps make this channel and the business behind it possible. I do have some people that I freelance and some other employees that help make this a business. Since, as most of you guys know, Abraham, who has been helping me out with the channel for the past few months, I of course have to pay him since he is helping me with the filming, the production, and so much other stuff behind the scenes. And then as well as him, I do have a retainer with my manager who helps me out with my branding and also with all of my contracts. So between all of that, it comes out to about $3,000 per month. So the next part I categorized under life, since as someone who is self-employed, you have a lot more expenses that the person who is employed doesn't have. For instance, I have to pay for my own health insurance, which is about $350 per month. So I'll tack that onto the list. And we also have my cell phone bill, my 401k, and then there were like a couple other little things. But it comes out to $1,200 per month. Okay, so for total expenses, wow, okay. It comes out to $9,775. Now, I know that sounds like a lot. To me, that sounds ridiculous. But again, that is calculating in the expenses that go into operating my businesses, which I did want to share with you guys and elaborate on, since in last week's video where I broke down the income from this YouTube channel, I wanted to talk about all the expenses that do go back into it. Since something that I feel like not a lot of other YouTubers do is treat it like a business. For myself, I try and treat it like a startup with almost a mini business plan and also financial goals and ways that I want to grow it. So far, it's been helping out a lot. But I also did just want to add that if you are someone who is aspiring to move to New York City, that number, the 9,775, is nowhere that you should be expecting to pay. I did a little breakdown right here where if you just add up my monthly rent, which is $1,200, and then also $1,025, which was for New York City expenses, and then the life expenses were $1,200. So that comes out to $3,425. If you are someone who is in your mid to late 20s, then I feel like this is a good estimate on what you should expect to pay. All right, now let's talk about where I put the rest of the pizza pie. All in Dogecoin. On my previous video, one of the most frequently asked questions and comments was about my investments and savings. So I really wanted to go over this one since I would consider myself a pretty frugal spender, at least when it's for myself and for unnecessary things. But when it comes to business, I feel like I'm the complete opposite. If it's something that I believe will help my business grow, then there's no doubt in my mind that I will do it. But besides that, I am a huge saver, which is why I do always try and save at least half of my income if possible. Mainly because as an entrepreneur, I don't have that safety net that many other people with a corporate job have. I don't have a pension or have a company contributing to my retirement. So I feel like right now, while I'm making pretty good money, I want to do my best to save it. Since I would be the happiest person in the world if I could wake up every day and make these YouTube videos. So I don't know where things will go in the future, but for right now, the goal is to just save as much as possible. So where do these slices go? And as of right now, I have been putting most of this money that I'm saving into the stock market. I understand that the key to success is diversification, but I am a finance major and feel like I understand the stock market fairly well. So as of right now, that's kind of where like all of my eggs are. But I do plan within the next couple years, hopefully by the time I'm 30, that I can start getting into the real estate market and hopefully own some property here in New York City or somewhere else in the world. So I am trying to use this time wisely to better understand the real estate market and educate myself. Actually, speaking of that, so my office here is facing the famous Jenga building, and every day it reminds me and motivates me that hopefully one day I'll be able to afford a place right in here. I think the cheapest one's like $4.5 million, so make sure you guys like this video, subscribe, so hopefully we can get these views up and afford that place. So yeah, I think that's just about it. If you guys do have any other questions about spending or about running a YouTube channel, leave a question down below and I'll try my best to answer it. And next week does start my Hawaii series, so until then, remember to get out and get busy.